And thanks for jumping back into the cryptoverse. We're going to be talking about Ethereum today and looking at the inevitable golden cross that is about to print. If you guys like this content, please subscribe to the channel and click the bell signal on the next to the subscribe button for notifications, and check out the Telegram and Discord channels in the description below. So again, today, like I said, we're talking about Ethereum. And we're going to be looking at primarily this golden cross that we're about to print, and talk about, for those who aren't familiar with golden crosses, it's just when the 50-day goes above the 200-day. So the 50-day moving average is this orange line, and then the 200-day moving average is the blue line. And historically, golden crosses again are signs of momentum shifts in the market. And death crosses, so when the 50-day goes below the 200-day, are signs of coming turmoil for the foreseeable future. So for instance, if we were to take a measured move just from this golden cross back in February of 2017 to the peak, then we're talking about an increase of just a modest 12,808%. And after the death cross, and you should also keep in mind that these are not meant for day-to-day trading, but rather longer-term shifts in the market. So then if we take another measured move where we say take it from the death cross, so the death cross occurred around this price point right here. So if we take a measured move from that death cross down to the bottom, it was another approximately 81%. So this is quite significant. And a lot of times you might wonder, well, if we have a death cross, why aren't people selling? Or why are there not more people who are aware of this? And I think part of the reason is after we've been in a bull market for so long, people just start to naturally think that this must just be a correction, and people will start, they'll push forward the narrative. Well, this is a normal correction. We have to get out the weak hands and all that sort of stuff. But a lot of times it's actually fairly evident once we are really going in the bear market. If you haven't already gotten out before the death cross, then you're likely doing something wrong. Now, obviously, it's not a, you can't use this, as a guarantee, obviously. But in fact, at this death cross, we even had a fake out because right when the death cross occurred, we saw a move that went up over 118%. And a lot of people, I think, thought, okay, we're back on track. But in fact, it was nothing more than a fake out, and then we continued our downward momentum. And then we have a different phase of the market cycle, which is the accumulation phase, in which case you have these, you have this accumulation window where these moving averages are just oscillating, against one another. But essentially, the price isn't exploding. It's just a time of accumulation, and Bitcoin has had these before too. I mean, as we've shown in many videos, I like to re-show things just for people who might be looking at the channel for the first time. But in the last market cycle back in 2015, you can see that Bitcoin had a golden cross and then a death cross, and then the second golden cross is what ultimately led to holding the 20-week moving average as support, which was the bear, or the start of the bull market. And if I, just for the people who haven't seen it before, if we show that 20-week moving average, you can see it right here, this yellow line. So, we had the golden cross and the death cross and another golden cross, and then we held the 20-week. And it was a transfer from the 100-week to the 20-week into the bull market. So going back to Ethereum, if we look back at the 50-day and the 200-day, you can see that we are about to cross, we are about to print another golden cross. And I mean, it's likely going to happen, within the next, few days. And when it happens, that doesn't mean that the price of Ethereum is just going to skyrocket immediately. It doesn't mean it's not either. If you look back at this other golden cross back in 2017, Once the golden cross printed, this move was just getting started. So if we look back, if we say take the local bottom and then take a measured move up to when the golden cross occurred, it was about 135% gain. And then after the golden cross occurred, just in the short term, we saw yet another 3,000% gain. Now, where we currently are, you can see that we had this golden cross, and it was still a pretty nice upward momentum from the golden cross. So if we just go where the price was at the golden cross and then take a measured move to the peak, let's just go to the candle, not the wick. I was around 100%, and currently we actually haven't even printed the golden cross yet. So we're certainly going to be looking for this golden cross in the next couple days, and obviously keeping an eye, because this move that we're in appears to be a very powerful move. I mean, there's a lot of volume coming into the market, and we're moving up quite rapidly. Now, you should also remember that even when we do see moves that are powerful, there are still days where we see drawbacks and pullbacks, and a lot of people will take that to mean that it has to be that this was just another fake out. And ultimately, I don't think anyone can really fully say for sure where exactly we are headed. I do publish the risk indicators if you guys follow that, and the risk is climbing for sure right now. And I do post updates to my Patreon channel, and you can get all sorts of updates and access to a private Telegram channel where we talk about these risk metrics, as well as a whole lot of other perks. If you just go to patreon.com/intothecryptoverse, you can get a lot of different things, or a lot of different perks by signing up for that. And we talk about these risk updates almost daily, and try to assess where we are. And I can tell you for sure that the risk on Ethereum is climbing, and I won't say exactly where I think we're headed in the short term, but I am pretty optimistic about Ethereum. And I had several people asking me when the price of Ethereum was around $230. Okay, well, should I sell? And my response to that is, if you're super nervous about the short-term price, and if you don't think you could handle pullbacks and an extended move, then you could always dollar cost average a small sell order. It could be, say, 10%. If that makes you feel better and helps you offset some of your risk, I think that's a perfectly fine move. And I told the person, when we were at 230, I said I still think there's room for us to keep moving up. And I still think there's room for us to keep moving up. I mean, I'm not going to say it might not happen immediately. It might not, we might not go to 300 tomorrow. I mean, we might, but at the end of the day, the point is to be accumulating Ethereum, when we're at these lower price points, and when the risk factor is very low. And this is often not intuitive for a lot of people. They think that they just need to sell because the altcoin market, or whatever you want to call it, is dead. But it's funny, because as many times as the altcoin market has died, it's also come right back again. And typically it's correlated with just Bitcoin getting above that 20-week moving average. I mean, when Bitcoin got above the 20-week moving average back in April, a lot of altcoins took off, and it recently got above the 20-week moving average just a couple weeks ago. And again, the altcoin market is once again taking off, and clearly the altcoin market is not dead. And we're going through our market cycle. We are printing our golden cross, our death cross, and our golden cross in the accumulation phase. But I can tell you that this move here that we are currently in is a lot more powerful than the one we saw over here. You can just see how quickly this 50-day moving average has turned to the upside. And if we look at the BLX, so the Bitcoin's price history, and we go back to the daily chart, and we look at, let's go ahead and auto this out. Okay, and then let's go back to 2015. So we got to scroll back a ways. So if we go back to 2015, you know, it was that second move that was so much more powerful than the first one. So you can see, you know, that first, let me hide the 20-day, but you can see that that first time we printed a golden cross, the slope, so the intersection angle between the two curves is a lot different than when we were over here. You can see the slope of the 50-day crossing the 200-day the second time was a lot steeper than it was the first time. And it's not that dissimilar from what we're currently seeing with Ethereum. I mean, the first time that we saw the golden cross, the slope here was essentially the same as it was on the BLX back in 2015. So here we are printing a much steeper slope. We're going to be crossing this almost at a right angle, which is hard to believe. But you know, don't be surprised if there are short-term pullbacks or corrections. It's the name of the game. But I think anyone who was following the channel back in December, where we were showing how buying Ethereum in December has historically been like one of the top times to buy Ethereum. And again, I think it has panned out that way. And we'll follow it next year and see if it continues to do the same thing. If we were to take a measured move from the bottom we saw back in December up to where we currently are, we're already up 138%. And I've made some notes in the past where I said, we should be able to expect from December to sometime in the first quarter a 2 to 5x increase, because we talked about how undervalued Ethereum was, and just looking at historical patterns, we would expect a 2 to 5x on your ROI, and we're already above. We've already seen the 2x. It's fine if you want to take profit. Some profits. I have actually not taken any profits yet. I'm still optimistic about Ethereum in the first quarter. I think there's a good chance we're going to keep moving up, but that risk level is rising. So again, if you guys if you want to check out the risk metric, then just go to patreon.com/intothecryptoverse. I'll link it down below. If you prefer not to use Patreon, we have a private Telegram channel where I post everything. So you can also pay with cryptocurrency if you would prefer to do it that way. And then finally, let's look at Ethereum Bitcoin. So, with respect to Bitcoin, the risk metric is actually slightly different. And it makes sense that it would be, because Ethereum, I'd say right now it's definitely more correlated with Bitcoin than it is with the US dollar. That's pretty obvious. So you can see, again, with just like with against USD, we were seeing a pretty powerful move. And the reason we show this with respect to Bitcoin is because I think a lot of times it's the most prudent to measure the success of your portfolio in its Bitcoin value. And if you're not doing that, then I think you're really doing something wrong, because by doing it, it allows you to really learn a whole lot about the cryptocurrency market, and to learn about when should you have more Bitcoin, when is it okay to start accumulating more altcoins, because holding a lot of altcoins through a bear market, and then finally see them gain some value, while it could be encouraging when you're at this point, you would actually have a lot more altcoins at that point if you had even just put your entire portfolio into Bitcoin, for a year, and then took some out and then put it back into altcoins. So it's all about maximizing your portfolio. So I think it's a good idea to measure your entire portfolio and how it stacks up with Bitcoin. If your Bitcoin value is going down, then why not just hold Bitcoin? Why hold 100 different coins if you could just hold Bitcoin? Your taxes would be a lot cleaner, and they'd be a lot simpler. So we want to measure things with respect to Bitcoin, and like we were expecting and hoping, we have seen a significant gain of Ethereum with respect to Bitcoin, and in fact, going from the December low of this point. Oh, whoops. Let's take a measured move. So if we go from the December low right here, December 24th, up to where we currently are, we've already seen about a 54% gain. I would like to see that continue moving up. So this is another reason why I'm holding my Ethereum right now, just because I still think it is undervalued. Even in just looking into further into Q1. So we're going to keep following this stuff. If you guys like this content, I really appreciate it if you subscribe to the channel and check out my Telegram channel in the description below. I think that will wrap it up for this video. Just keep an eye on the Golden Cross, which is about to print in the next couple days. And make sure you identify now what your plan is. Don't just sit on your investment and say, I'll figure it out later. Figure out what your plan is. If Ethereum were to go to, if it goes to $300 tomorrow, what are your plans? If it goes to $400, what are you going to do? If it goes to $200, are you going to capitulate? What are you going to do? Because, and figure out what you're going to do, and then write an email to yourself, or open Notepad or something, and just say, this is what I'm going to do. And then make sure that you when the market is moving substantially, read what you told yourself you were going to do, because otherwise, you're going to let the greed just take you away. And then, I've seen so many stories of people who have gone up, say, 6 figures in their portfolio, or even 7 figures, and just to watch it come all crashing back down. So, make sure you have a plan, and plan accordingly. So I think, yeah, that'll wrap it up for this video. Please subscribe, and I will see you next time. Bye.